Janet Brown, Saturday, October 1st, 2016, and the password is popcorn. In 1987, Emily Pearl Kingsley wrote an essay entitled Welcome to Holland. It goes a bit like this. Your entire life you've planned this wonderful trip to Italy. You've read guidebooks, you've learned some of the language. The day arrives, you go to the airport, you board your plane, you land, and you hear welcome to Holland. Holland? I'm supposed to be in Italy. But you've landed in Holland and you have to stay there. And you look around Holland and you realize it's not a terrible place. In fact, it's beautiful with windmills and tulips. And all the while your friends are bragging about how wonderful it is going back and forth to Italy. And you think, that's where I was supposed to be. And it's sad because it's the loss of a dream. But if you continue to mourn that loss, you will never fully appreciate everything that Holland has to offer. This essay was written in response to what it is like to parent a special needs child. As the mother of 2 sons on the autism spectrum, I can tell you that early intervention is the answer, as well as finding the right professionals, such as Children's Home Society of Florida. According to the Autism Foundation of Georgia, 1 in 68 children will be diagnosed with autism. 1 in 54 boys are on the autism spectrum. 2 of my boys were diagnosed with autism at early ages. These are astounding statistics, and this could be your child or grandchild who receives this diagnosis. Imagine being unable to verbally communicate with your child and resorting to either hand gestures or mother's intuition. My son Garrett did not begin talking until about 4th grade, and that breakthrough was as a result of many years of multiple therapies, including speech. He and I spent many frustrated hours trying to understand one another. He would also burst into spontaneous tears, and I would never know if it was the tag, the color, the texture, and he couldn't tell me what was wrong. Receiving an autism diagnosis is not the end of dreams, it's the beginning of different dreams. You give up certain expectations of your child possibly excelling academically or athletically, and in our case, playing football together, but you turn those dreams toward goals of learning to speak, making friends, and graduating from high school. In the past 2 years, both of my sons have graduated from high school with diplomas. One of them drives and both of them have jobs. Early intervention is the key. There are so many diagnoses that are worse than autism because within the spectrum there is hope, especially with the right professionals in your corner. Children's Home Society was there for us when our autism journey began. They provide services that encompass everything from therapies to medical services, but most importantly, they provide care and comfort, and they provide hope and direction. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services reports that autism crosses all ethnic, social, and racial lines. Autism does not discriminate, and in households with one child diagnosed with autism, it is likely, but there's a 2 to 8% chance another sibling will be diagnosed, which is the case in our family. My sons could be the poster children for early intervention. They have worked very hard, but the truth is, early intervention is the key to developmental success. My son Garrett at 19 really still prefers his own company to that of others, but he has learned to engage so that he can have a job. I vividly remember being in the playroom with him at the social therapy office. He could choose what we played, but no matter how many times he pushed us away or told us no, we surrounded him, and eventually he learned that in order to get what he wanted or needed, he had to engage people. Early intervention is the answer. There is no cure for autism, but early intervention in the form of speech, language, occupational, and social therapies can bridge the gap between little or no communication and communicating either verbally, with sign language, or via technology. Your dollars can help Children's Home Society continue to provide solid foundations for brighter futures for not only the child diagnosed, but the family as well, because autism is a family affair, and often the typical siblings are the ones that have it the hardest. Children on the spectrum are often delayed in their ability to communicate. Parents are overwhelmed, and they feel helpless and hopeless. Children's Home Society provided a port in the storm for us, and they can do that for other families with continued financial support. The Autism Society estimates that about 1% of the world's population is on the autism spectrum. Again, that equates to about 1 in 68 births within the United States. Florida State University's First Words program tells us that there are 16 skills, including language, a child should master by the age of 16 months. Again, my child didn't start speaking until about 4th grade, but how much further would he have been delayed if he had not had the services of Children's Medical Services? Autism Speaks tells us that poor eye contact and delays in expressive and receptive language are early markers of autism. Finding an agency who will work with you is the key. Children's Home Society of Florida is that agency. They provided my children with everything they needed, from therapies to medical appointments to MRIs. They are also very vested in families with runaways and abused children, so your dollars also goes to support those causes as well. Your generous donations can keep these services available for other families. It is very difficult when you're first diagnosed. It's very scary, especially when you don't know anyone else who has a child on the spectrum. You don't know who to turn to, where to go. This agency started us on the correct path to get the services that our children needed so that today they are healthy, active, productive adults. Autism spectrum disorder can affect anyone, anywhere, and it is likely that you or someone you know will face the challenges of life on the autism spectrum. And while it's not Italy, Holland is a wonderful, beautiful place filled with joy and blessings. So the best way that you can help Children's Home Society is to go to their website at chsfl.org, click on help, click on donate, and you too can provide hope for families on the autism spectrum.